And let's start. Hi, my name is Cartoon Ray, and this is my Cartoon Academy class for June 28th, 2022. I am Cartoon Ray, and I have been on TikTok for almost 4 months now, and I've really loved drawing with people. And I found that I wanted to do something to give back to the people who have supported me. And so I started teaching this class, I guess about a month ago. And the idea is that this is sort of an introductory cartooning class, where I want to just basically give you what I think you need to know to start drawing cartoons on your own. And along the way, we'll talk a lot about art philosophy and what I think about how to learn a skill in general. In principle, I think that anyone can draw. And the main thing that you need is patience for yourself and willingness to fail. Let's change that to willingness to suck. I love Jake the dog. I love his saying. I probably won't get it verbatim, but the saying is basically sucking at something is just the first step towards being sort of okay at something. And you have to be willing to not be good at something if you want to have any chance of being good at it. We sort of, as a culture, I think we only see people show up and they're already good at something. And we think, oh, well, they're just good at that. I used to think about that with musicians. I'd say, oh, well, my friend Julian's really good at guitar. So, he probably is just really good at that. Like probably athletes are just really good at sports. And, if they're really good at it, well, I'm not. So I probably couldn't be. The truth is, those people all learned how to do stuff too. Jimi Hendrix didn't come into the world good at guitar. He learned. He had to practice. People who are really great at stuff have to learn. They have to practice. And so I want to encourage you to practice without a critic. Don't criticize in your own mind. I'm teaching this class because I want to do something for somebody else. And that person could be you if you're here for the class. I want to be contributing to people and not just saying, look at me. I want to say, let's look at you. Let's help you do something better. This class we are on class 8 right now out of 24. And we are going to go basically through the summer. I'm assigning homework in this class. I've assigned 7 assignments so far, and I'm going to assign another one today. If you complete 75% of that homework, I will give you a little certificate at the end of this class. It doesn't mean anything other than congratulations, you did it. You can always catch up on that homework at cartoonray.com, and there's a Cartoon Academy link on my website where you can get the old homework and useful resources. And all of the old classes are archived on YouTube. So quick review. You, in your mind, have a critic and a creator, and you can't use them both at the same time. You have to choose one at a time. If you try to use both, you just choke. So when you draw, just draw. Don't judge. Okay? You can criticize later, and you can come back to anything that you've done before, and I can look at this now, and I can say, yeah, his wrist was too thick. I might have changed it. I might have made it thinner. I might have angled the whole thing out so that it's a little bit more believable. I would have, given him some curls on the bottom there. I don't need to think about that when I'm drawing. I need to think about that later on. While you're drawing, just draw. The single biggest piece of advice I'll give you in this class. We talked about circles. We talked about steadiness of hand. Nobody can draw a perfect circle without having drawn a bunch of bad circles. So my advice to you is to draw circles. Draw bad circles, draw good circles, draw big circles, draw little circles, draw circles, and you will get better at drawing circles. Over time, it's a muscle memory thing, and it'll teach you the lesson that fundamentally all we're really doing is training our muscles to know how to do certain moves. You go to the gym and you train your big muscles. Here at Cartoon Academy, we're training tiny muscles. We're training the tiny muscles in our hands, and we're training the even tinier muscles in our brain. Right? Isn't that what our brain is made of? Is lots of tiny little muscles? Maybe not. I'm not a scientist. This isn't Science Academy. It's Cartoon Academy. But you take my principle. Steadiness is just a function of practice. In the second full week of this class, we talked about hands. And hands, if you want to know, my basic pitch is just start out getting this curve. Practice this after you've done your circles. Start practicing this shape. Think of it as a galaxy. But once you have that basic shape, you can start to put it together with other of the same shape, and pretty soon you can start to make a hand. And once you can do that, you can repeat, but decide that you're going to make 2 fingers sticking out, or 3, or give it a thumbs up. Or you can use those basic shapes inside of this framework. You could start like that, and like that, and then use that same basic galaxy swirl, and you have the hang loose hand gesture. That's what we talked about with hands. Then in the most recent week, we talked about bodies. And my basic pitch with bodies is people say, I can't even draw a stick figure. And I say, well, stick figures are terrible. They don't actually help you. A stick figure looks like this, and there's nowhere to really go from here with a stick figure. What are you going to do? Add muscles and put some shorts on him? Give him a happy face. Stick figure, not so much. For bodies, what I would propose you do is take that same training we're working on in drawing circles. Start with a circle, even a bad circle. It doesn't matter, but it's a great excuse to draw another circle. And then draw another circle on top of it. They can be the same size. One could be a little bit larger or shorter. But I would propose that this is a better starting point for a body, because now all of a sudden, if you draw arms and legs on this guy, you wind up with legs that have a little bit of width between them and arms that can't really come all the way to the center. And now you start to have something a little bit more cartoony and something that you can pose a little bit more. I like to think about the kind of square in the middle of this guy. And the other thing I'd say about bodies like this is when you start to draw bodies, the 2-circle body design, try to see if you can only do their arms and legs as curves. The more you can keep things curved, the more that body is going to feel like it's moving, like it's animated, like it's a cartoon. That's why the homework for 2 classes ago was to draw 20 of these guys and to try different poses, see what you can do based off of that basic design. Okay, and that, I believe, brings us current. And what we are going to talk about today is heads. We talked a little bit about facial design a few classes ago, but what I want to look at now is how do we actually draw heads. So I'm going to go back to what I drew first here. and look at Krusty the Clown. I'm going to do something that is going to hurt my soul a little bit, but I'm going to mark him up. The first thing that I drew on Krusty the Clown was his nose. And the reason I drew that is because it's an interrupted line. So I can see that I can draw the circle of Krusty's nose without being interrupted. And I'm looking for things that I can draw continuously without being interrupted so that I have something to draw first, and then I can anchor things off of it. So any place that I see a line that I can do that's interrupted, that's where I want to start. The other thing that I'm doing when I'm drawing a face from a reference image is looking for what are those basic shapes that are in here. What is the real composition of the face? I can sort of, when I'm looking at Krusty the Clown, I'm imagining what is he made of. So let's say I have, let's go for just Sonic the Hedgehog, who students who have been around for more than this class will probably have drawn Sonic the Hedgehog once or twice. He's a favorite go-to for me in personal drawing or in teaching. I wind up coming back to Sonic a lot. But you have Sonic, and what I basically am pitching to you here is that you want to be looking for the places that you can see geometric relations inside of each character design. So being aware that there's fundamentally a circle shape that defines a lot of the curve of Sonic's head. And then looking for where are the really long unbroken lines in that design. And this helps because, whoops, pardon me, once you're looking at the geometry of your character, then you can kind of start to subdivide and say, okay, if that's that circle, what's right in the middle of it? And you'll notice a lot of the time that might be where the eye is. Or now you're looking at the sort of divide of that line, and you can use that line to figure out where things are going to be. What I basically am trying to tell you to do is to, when you're looking at a character that you want to draw, you go to Google and you search for Sonic and you want to draw Sonic, you want to look at him and assess the geometry. You don't have to draw it like this, but you do want to be looking from the first, when you have your reference image, you do want to be looking for what are the basic shapes at play inside of this face that I'm trying to draw. I'll give a quick note too about reference images. Sometimes people feel like they should not use reference images, like it's cheating or something. And I will just say that drawing from a reference image is the same as learning to play a song on the ukulele by a band that you really like. In education, when you are learning, there is nothing wrong with emulating your heroes. That is a great, great way to learn. A lot of people have shame about it or say like, oh, you just copied that. And if you're copying something and you pass it off as your own and you say, oh, I made this up, I did this from scratch, then you might have a problem. Then that might not be good. But if you're copying something for the sake of learning, then I highly encourage you to do that and enjoy that. The best way to learn is to find things that you love and try to do something similar. Try to do the same thing. See what you can do. See if you can make something that looks even a quarter as good as your favorite cartoon. And don't feel bad about it. Okay, inside of faces, we're always looking for the longest line. In Sonic the Hedgehog, it's that big arch over the top. But for a lot of the time, you'll find that the longest line in the face is often the jaw. You'll see, especially with like anime characters, it's like you get all this hair up top, and then you get this really long jawline. It's super helpful to just identify what is the longest line of the character that I'm looking at. Everything else is going to kind of be formed off of that. So why not know from the start which line is the longest? We use that line. I'm always using jawline in my drawings to know where everything else should be spaced. By creating that jaw, if I'm drawing my self-portrait character, what's the longest line there? I guess the longest line in my self-portrait character is kind of the outside of the head. Where do I really start with that? I'm going to try and be totally right. The place I really start is at the top of the head, going over like that, because I know I can pull that off pretty quickly. And now I have a framework to say, okay, I can put hair in there and know that it works, and I can draw the side of the head inside of the hair, because you're always looking for, ooh, shaggy, haven't shaved in a couple days. You're always looking for the longest lines, and you're looking for a framework in which you can build your character. If it's Sonic, the first thing I draw, right, the same thing with Krusty, was that unbroken round shape for the nose. And so really, I don't have my Sonic until I've drawn the mouthpiece down here. And now I have kind of something to build off of. And now I can place everything in it. You want to look for that longest line again and again. Okay, now everyone who is drawing along, I want you to do me a favor and draw a circle in the center of your page. I just want to talk about a circle. Fundamentally, we are all circles. You look at planets, you see circles. You look at a human head, it's fundamentally a cantaloupe with a jaw attached to it. If you have a circle, how do you get to a human face? You give it a long jaw and you stick ears on it. And all of a sudden, you start to be in Humanville. How do you get a dog? You start with that same circle. This is going to be a big dog compared to the human. You start with that same circle and you create a sort of hanging down jaw area, but you're still starting with that same circle. And what you'll find again and again in character design, in drawing cartoons, is that if you start with a circle, it's a really good place, it's a really good bet that you'll probably wind up with a decent looking character. Let's see, who is, I don't want it to be Venom. Let's make it a dragon or a demon. But all these guys, you can start with that circle and build from there. It's not only adding to the circle, you can also use that circle and start carving away from it too, to create more specific, unique character designs. But that is a really good way to start your search for a face. Okay, new page, and another circle sort of centered. And this is going to seem silly, but just bear with me and do as close as you can to the center of your circle. I want to see a dotted line going up and a dotted line going across. Okay? Now, an eye on each side of that dividing line, and a smile going along the bottom, right? It's a happy face. Congratulations, you can draw a happy face. But we put this dotted line on it because the next thing that I want you to think about is anytime you're drawing a circle, I want you to imagine you're not actually drawing a circle. You're drawing the outline around a sphere. And so when you're drawing from reference, if I'm asking you to look for the geometry and the relationships inside of the face, when you're drawing circles, when you're drawing anything, I want you to start imagining the form of the thing. What is the actual three-dimensional shape of this thing? Okay, so now I've done the same thing with a middle dividing line going right down the center, but I've got this kind of curved down line going across the bottom there. All right, everyone with me? Do a little bit of the smile, still visible. Over to the side here, I want to draw another circle, this time with the dotted line going straight across still, but the curved line aiming this way, and the eyes still centered on that, what is the up and down line, and similarly the mouth also centered there. Okay, we'll go to the other side and do another one. Again, none of this has to be perfect. It's all just about getting used to it. See, that wasn't perfect. That had a little bump on it. And now we're going to do the curved line facing away, dotted line going back, and draw in the details of the happy face. And one more circle up here. And now you start to see, right, those central divide lines looking up and down, they stay consistent, and going across, they stay consistent. But this just basically, if you're going to draw cartoons, I think it's worthwhile to take the time to learn how to draw the same thing from different angles, like so. We're going for bonus points here. Who can tell me what's going to happen in any of, well, let's just start with this one. That's right. It's going to get a curved upper line and a curved side line, so that now we have a smiley guy who's looking up and to the right. And this is kind of helpful when you're drawing in this style, when you're drawing them all next to each other. You can kind of line up and make sure that the mouths are lining up across the pictures. We'll do the lower corner here. I'll upload this sheet when we're done here to the class Dropbox, so you can see it for reference later. But I think you should be able to follow the train of logic from here. We're going to complete all 9 angles here. Dotted line going out and up and over like so. Because it's the main trick, the main thing I want you to think about is that anytime you're drawing, we're mostly, as cartoonists, we're mostly drawing outlines. But the outlines are always implying a three-dimensional shape. So it's really important to be aware of what that is. I also want to just go, you don't have to do this, but you're welcome to do this. But just to finish it out, I think it's worth exploring one more step up. This is where we can't even see the dotted line there anymore. So now the smiley face just is a line up there. Down here, similarly, we would have only the top line visible because the dotted line going around the bottom is now invisible. We can go like that. And quick zoom out to add one more over here. Again, these last 4 are sort of a bonus. I just want to follow the train of thought all the way out so that when I upload this, you can see the whole situation. So that you're thinking about things in 3D. Before you even get into complex character design, I think it's worth looking at how to see your character from all different angles. If you get a job as a cartoonist doing character design, you're going to have to do contact sheets, and you're going to have to do character models, and everyone wants to see the character from all different angles. We are heading towards the end of class here. That's the main thing I wanted to get across, but I just thought we would look at, right, if I have a face, you know, if it's Sonic the Hedgehog, I know I keep coming back to him. It's not actually going to be exactly Sonic the Hedgehog, but it's going to be the basic design of Sonic the Hedgehog without the fins or the ears. But if that's him looking forward, I just want to know that I can think about him looking 3/4 to this side and start to play with how he's going to fit. He's a pretty good one to start out this way, or do the one that's looking up and to the side, so that now his nose is going to be up here like that, or down like so. And I'm using the nose as sort of the relative center. It's not exactly, but it's okay. It's just an example. And anything that you're working with, any character design you're working with, will go the same way. So you have a character who's just got a star for a face. It's worth working on how does that change if the star faces over this way. And you can see I'm kind of giving a little bit more curve to the star because I know that it's going to fit along that basic curve. Or if it's aimed down, it's going to sort of go like that. And I can use what I know about that the curvature of a sphere to kind of figure this stuff out each time along the way. Because I'm right now doing basic shapes that are dot, 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 dot. But really, anytime I'm drawing any circle, I really want to be thinking about it as having actually all of these lines. So you have your center up, center across, you're looking up, you're looking down, you're looking left, and looking right. And I want to be able to imagine the full sort of perfectly round shape of the sphere that I'm drawing. I want to think about it. It's helpful to have that in mind, the roundness of what you are drawing. Okay, for homework, I would like to see this sheet. If you did it in class, great. If you have to do it now, that's fine. Or if you have to do it after class, that's great too. But I want to see this uploaded to the Dropbox on cartoonray.com. And I'd like to see a face that you build off of a basic circle. So draw me a circle, and don't worry about erasing anything, but add features to it. You could do a big hulking jaw like so. You could do creepy goblin ears, but I want to see something that you make starting from a basic circle and then just add to it. Don't worry about if it's good, but I want to see that basic circle as the foundation for a drawing. Cool? Cool. With that, I will say thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your participation, and I hope you had a good time. I will be back again on Thursday to do more work on cartoon heads. We're going to develop more on this. Today we talked about the basic form of things, and now we're going to see how that applies beyond just the shape of head, but actually drawing the features of the head too.